welcome to the Soda Fiend. Today we're going to be tasting Filbert's old-time quality watermelon soda since 1926. This is made by the Filbert Root Beer Company of Chicago, Illinois. It is a high fructose corn syrup sweetened soda with natural and artificial flavors, and it is colored by red number 40. Now, I have actually sampled this soda before on the Soda Fiend's journey to production readiness, as it were, and I have already formed a bit of an opinion. A lot of times we're going to be doing relatively blind tastings here, as in I will have not tasted the soda before. Of course, we know from the Pepsi challenge long ago that a blind taste of a soda doesn't necessarily tell you about the long-term experience, but mostly we're just going to be doing tastings here. And I have in fact had Filbert's watermelon once in the past, so I'm just going to proceed with a pour here. Now, this label, I haven't seen a Filbert root beer label yet, so this is all I've got to go on. I both appreciate and am unthrilled with the hand-drawn qualities of this logo in various departments. I do like the big beer stein at the bottom. That looks like a company logo. This kind of cattywampus text saying watermelon, very 1990s to me. It doesn't really speak to me all that well. And the company logo, I don't know. It's not bad, though. It's supposed to look old-fashioned. I don't know whether it does or not, but it's supposed to look that way. Anyway, let's pour. The bottle cap is a plain gold. It's actually painted. It is, as one would expect, a bottle cap. So we pour a little bit here for a taste, up to the line of the tumbler. Ordinarily, one might drink a soda out of a tall glass, but I find the tumbler is useful for these tasting purposes and is going to have some special qualities when we start getting into ice in a minute. But for the moment, let's take an undiluted taste. Okay. Kind of knocked that back all at once. And the experience was pretty good. Most of the flavor is coming on the after breath. It's a fairly decent flavor, very reminiscent of a watermelon Jolly Rancher candy, which is a kind of traditional candy in the United States. Watermelon is an interesting one when it comes to soda and candy, because the actual flavor of watermelon itself, of course, is very diluted and watery, hence its name. So it's usually very concentrated when it comes to a candy or a soda, and the experience of the flavor is pretty different, even though the baseline chemical reactions with the tongue are essentially pretty well reproduced by confection. So let's take a little pour over some ice here of the Filberts. I do find that this soda is perhaps a little, I don't know, I think it's a little red for a watermelon. Watermelon is very reddish fruit, but the juice, of course, is very pink and diluted. Looks like about the right amount. And we'll get a pour up to the line here, because this is one of the things about the tumbler, is that a pour over ice with soda, you know, many people will say it dilutes the soda, but of course this does take time. And if you use something like a whiskey tumbler, you can get some of the same effect that people use it for with whiskey, which is that you get the actual mixing of water and beverage is something. It's like you experience it as it's mixing. But with soda, a lot of time with ice, you got to be pretty fast, unless it's a very strong or syrupy soda. And I think the tall glass in which soda is served with ice doesn't really necessarily do it a lot of favors. Anyway, Filbert's Watermelon is an interesting soda because watermelon sodas are very unusual. This is the only one of that flavor I've ever had, certainly. And I have to report that if you want a watermelon soda, this one will suit your needs. I don't know how many people are going to want a watermelon soda in the first place. And I think the concept can probably be improved upon from Filbert's, or that they could actually improve their soda a little bit, maybe by toning down this red a little bit. But the flavor is okay. It's a little artificial, but I don't know what you're going to do about that with watermelon, to tell the truth. I suspect that the tartness is probably coming in from some apple or cranberry juice in there, and that's the natural source. That's just a pretty typical tart source for a fruit flavor that is generic enough to sort of take other flavors on. So, Filbert's Watermelon. Going to come down with a medium recommendation on this. I believe that if you need a watermelon soda, this one is going to suit your needs pretty well. If you want a watermelon soda, this one is going to suit your desires pretty well. But I think there's probably the potential for a better watermelon soda in the world. Now, this one so far is both the best and worst watermelon soda I've ever had. I would say that it leans probably more toward the positive than the negative. It's pretty good. So that's going to be this review. Soda Fiend signing off. Going to remind everybody, brush your teeth if you drink a soda. All right, good night.